Chuck Todd today exposed Vivek Ramaswamy as the fraud that he is, using his own book. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
In your book, which wasn't written that long ago, you wrote, the fact that all of our governmental institutions so unanimously found no evidence of significant fraud is telling. Furthermore, I've talked to many Republicans at all levels of government, and not one has ever presented convincing evidence that the 2020 election was stolen from President Trump. Very few have seriously tried. I don't believe that most Republican politicians actually think the election was stolen. So you went from there,
let me address
and
this.
11 months later, your views have changed on January 6th. Again, this book was written September of 2022.
Chuck, I'm happy to address that if you're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and read exactly that chapter in the book. I drew a sharp distinction between what I did see as the interference in the election that mattered, which was interference by big tech. I'm data-driven. There's hard data showing that many voters, many independent voters would have changed their result enough to influence the outcome of the election if they had been exposed to what we now know to be the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop story. By contrast, I've also been clear. I have not yet seen evidence that there was ballot fraud of a scale that would have changed that result. I'm just responding to data on both fronts.
First of all, you never talked about the tech stuff in your book. This is a new thing. It is
that's false, Chuck.
You have not
Chuck,
talked about this Hunter Biden
in Nation of Victims
aspect of it. We were looking
Chuck,
for it.
I think you have not read Nation. I think you have not read Nation of Victims. Literally read the book. There was about 20 pages of content devoted to this, and I also bring it up in
You didn't write about
Woking.
election fraud that way. Let me quote it again. You're referring to Republicans. We use stolen election theories as a backdoor to embracing our own victim identity path, pursuing an easy path to power. Throughout this entire book, you mock the entire January 6th aspect. You absolutely criticize Donald Trump for being a sore loser. You write about it in a way of making your point that we've become a nation of victims. And right now on TV, you're doing the exact opposite.
I'm not. Chuck, actually want to be very clear. I preach to conservative audiences. We're not going to be victims. We're going to be victorious. Whether I'm talking to the left or the right, I say the same thing.
Again, from your book, no one likes a sore loser. That's one of the worst victimhood complexes of all. Are you referring to Donald Trump?
I referred in that chapter both to Stacey Abrams and to Donald Trump. And I think that the answer is we need leaders who ultimately stand for victory over victimhood.
But again, let me go back to quoting you. The Republican Party seems to be moving towards the position that any races it wins are legitimate and any it loses were stolen. It's just the preferred conservative brand of victimhood, a knee-jerk kind of sore losing, more common to playground than great republics. You seem to, at the time you wrote your book, believe this was potentially damaging to the rule of law. This was not a way to have a democracy thrive. And you're now speaking in a way that gives essentially a permission slip to election deniers to believe there's some truth to something that you yourself have yet to find evidence of.
Chuck, I stand by everything I said. That was a book where 11 of the 12 chapters were dedicated to a lot of left-wing victimhood in this country, but it would have been incomplete for me not to call out my own tribe. Chuck, this isn't some game of gotcha. I stand by everything I've written over the last 3 years in the books that I have, except for a few areas on facts where, as the new facts have come up, I've changed my mind. But in the core theses, I'm in the exact place I am as when I wrote those books.
So it turns out Vivek doesn't believe that there was even that Trump won the election. Vivek doesn't believe that there was any kind of fraud. He said he spoke to a lot of Republicans that said otherwise, yet he goes on stage and makes it believe that he is in line with brother Trump. He is in line with the victimhood that Donald Trump tries to make himself to be. Well, as it turns out, Vivek turned around on a whole lot of things as he decided to run for president. Again, we ought to realize, though, he's nothing more than a minor, pompous Donald Trump sycophant who would say anything like Donald Trump would say anything. He's a charlatan, just like Donald Trump is one. Again, they are the same. Wonder why he's running. spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.